BBC News with Sue Montgomery. A BBC investigation has cast serious doubt on the Greek Coast Guard's account of the hours leading up to the capsize and sinking of a migrant ship last week. 78 bodies were recovered, but hundreds more are thought to have died. Analysis of maritime traffic in the area suggests another vessel provided food and water at least 7 hours before the migrant ship capsized. But the Greek authorities claimed half an hour later the boat was on a steady course towards Italy. Adriana Tedona is with Amnesty International.
Our main ask is that an independent and effective investigation is started as soon as possible to verify these claims. And it's public knowledge at this point that the boat was spotted in the morning of Tuesday. And we believe, and everyone has seen the photos by now, that that boat was clearly unseaworthy. It was extremely overcrowded, and that is a boat that should be considered in distress. So that's, again, our question. Why was it considered seaworthy, especially as more and more testimonies are coming out?
Pakistan has declared a national day of mourning for the victims. Hundreds of migrants, including Pakistanis, remain missing. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has formed a committee of inquiry to find the alleged perpetrators. Our South Asia regional editor is Anbarasan Etirajan.
Many Pakistani families are trying to come to terms with this tragedy because we are talking about dozens of people, and they left the country with a lot of hope of getting a good job, starting a new life. They can send money back home to their parents and relatives. These are the dreams they had. And some of these agents, when they go and recruit, paint a rosy picture about life in Europe, and then they charge a huge amount of money.
The United States has described talks in Beijing between the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken and the Chinese Foreign Minister Qin Gang as candid, substantive and constructive. A spokesman said Mr. Qin had been invited to Washington to continue discussions. Chinese state media are reporting that he made clear tensions over Taiwan were the most prominent risk to a more stable relationship with the US. The High Court in Israel has issued an interim injunction against a law giving the far-right National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir enhanced powers over the police. Here's Sebastian Usher.
The so-called police law was passed at the end of last year by Israel's parliament. The legislation was drafted at the behest of Mr. Ben-Gvir, who was also its main beneficiary. The law grants the National Security Minister substantially more authority over the police. This has caused great concern among Mr. Ben-Gvir's critics, who believe it risks politicising the police. The High Court has given the government 90 days to respond to its injunction.
BBC News. A regional minister in Belgium has resigned after hosting an Iranian and Russian delegation at an urban planning conference in Brussels this month. Pascal Smet said he took the decision when it was disclosed the capital's regional government paid the accommodation costs for the delegations, which included the ultra-conservative mayor of Tehran, who has close ties to Iran's Revolutionary Guards. Voters in Switzerland have backed government proposals to cut fossil fuel use and reach net zero carbon emissions by 2050. 59% approved the measures in a referendum. The government says Switzerland needs to protect its energy security and the environment. Uruguay has abandoned a plan to melt down a bronze eagle recovered from a sunken Nazi warship and recast it as a dove of peace. President Luis Lacalle Pou said it was clear an overwhelming majority in Uruguay did not support the proposed move. James Reid has more details.
The 350-kilogram bronze eagle, clutching a swastika in its talons, has been the subject of controversy ever since it was salvaged from the wreck of the Graf Spee in 2006. Germany complained when it was put on display and opposed a private sale for fear it would be bought by Nazi sympathisers. On Friday, the Uruguayan government said it would be turned into a dove of peace, but this provoked an outcry, with critics saying it should be kept in a museum as a reminder of the evils of the past. The Graf Spee was scuttled by its own captain in 1939 after being cornered in the River Plate by British warships.
An ancient stone tablet has been displayed at a ceremony in Iraq, nearly 4 decades after it was seized by police in Italy. The 2,800-year-old artefact is inscribed with complete cuneiform text, the world's oldest form of writing. BBC News.